Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everyone. Here from the T-Mobile Arena for the very first time in UNLV Lady Rebel history. It's Lady Rebel basketball. Adam Candy, Wyatt Tomczyk here courtside at the brand new and absolutely gorgeous T-Mobile Arena here at the Play4Kay Shootout, the final of 4 games today as the UNLV Lady Rebels take on the number 15 team in the country, the Oregon State Beavers. This is a showdown for UNLV, 8-1 on the year against a 7-1 Oregon State team that advanced to the Final Four last season, that finished number 2 in the national rankings. This Oregon State team presents the greatest challenge UNLV will see all season long. We will see shortly what the Lady Rebels have in the tank. The starting lineup, the first quarter of action on the other side of this break. You're listening to UNLV Women's Basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network.
We all have our mountains.
Back into the T-Mobile Arena, Adam Candy joined by Wyatt Tomczyk here with UNLV Women's Basketball. It is the 8-1 UNLV Lady Rebels taking on the number 15 team in the country, the Oregon State Beavers at 7-1. Let's meet the starting lineups first for the visiting team this evening, the Oregon State Beavers, led by head coach Scott Rueck in his 7th season in an incredible turnaround in just 6 seasons. Took this Oregon State program from the depths of the basement up to the heights of the Final Four and facing UConn. 129-77 in his 7 years. He sends to the floor Katie McWilliams, 6'2 sophomore guard from Salem, Oregon, alongside Gabriella Hansen, 5'11 senior guard from Anaheim, California. Sydney Weiss is an All-American candidate, 6'1 senior guard from Phoenix, Arizona. In the front court, Colby Oram, 6'3 senior forward from Maple Ridge, British Columbia. And in the pivot, 6'5 junior center from Cologne, Germany, Marie Gulich. 10.7 rebounds a game. She will be a handful in the pivot for these Lady Rebels to handle. UNLV is 8-1 on the year. It is the best start for the UNLV since the 01-02 season when they began 14-1. Kathy Olivier is in her 9th season, 124 and 136. Her starting lineup features Nikki Wheatley, 5'5 junior guard from Laverne, California, alongside Brooke Johnson, 6' junior guard from Hanford, California, and Dakota Gonzalez, 6' junior guard from Pocatello, Idaho, a transfer from the University of Kansas, along with her sister, Dylan Gonzalez, 6' junior forward from Pocatello, Idaho, and Paris Strother, 6'2 sophomore forward from Las Vegas Liberty High School. And we'll roll right from that, Wyatt, to talk about Paris Strother, who has been a revelation this year, 11 points and 7 rebounds per game. But the road trip unkind to Paris as UNLV went to Malibu and Irvine, beat both Pepperdine and the UC Irvine Anteaters, but it was a rough go for Paris Strother on the trip, and the Lady Rebels will really need her here tonight.
It may have been the finals week kind of got to her head, but in the Pepperdine game, she had a stat line of 0 points and 5 fouls, fouled out. At UC Irvine, a little bit better, had 6 points shooting, but she needs to be a big force today, needs to get a lot of rebounds against a very tall Oregon State team, and let's see how her three-point shooting will do. That's how UNLV beat USC in their big upset at the Thomas and Mack in November. So we'll see if Paris can have a good shooting night along with the Rebels.
UNLV will be wearing its home whites, red numbers, black letters and trim. Oregon State in its road blacks with orange numbers and letters. Tim Resch throws the ball up. Tip won by Oregon State, joined by Cheryl Flores and Cam Inoue as the officials here this evening. Coming from left to right, it will be the Oregon State Beavers beginning with the basketball. At the free throw line, Gulic, one dribble and a flip over the head to Weiss. Here comes the southpaw around the left side of the court. Down the key she comes. Sydney Weiss lays it up and in. And Oregon State begins the game with a 2-0 lead, 20 seconds in. Some token full court pressure here shown by Oregon State. Up the right side comes Brooke Johnson, stopping at quarter court. And now she'll go back to the top for Dylan Gonzalez. All the way into the left corner now, Nikki Wheatley. The point guard finds Johnson behind the Gonzalez screen. Into the lane goes Brooke. Her floater no good. Got her own rebound and had the shot rejected by Gulic. And off the Oregon State rebound, a foul against UNLV. And that's a steaming foul there against Brooke Johnson, if you know what I mean. Steaming because she was mad coming off missing those 2 shots in the lane and commits the personal foul. Her first, UNLV's first in the period. Oregon State 2, UNLV nothing, as the Lady Rebels will pick up full court here. It will be McWilliams to bring it up over the logo against Dakota Gonzalez. Man-to-man defense here for UNLV. Nikki Wheatley at 5'5" has a tough assignment against the 6'1" Weiss, but we know Nikki backs down from no one. In the left corner, Orem drives in, and an off-ball foul called by Tim Resch. It's an illegal screen called against Gabriella Hansen. That'll be her first, and the first against Oregon State. 57 seconds into this showdown ball game. Oregon State with a 2-0 lead against UNLV. The Play4Kay shootout, final of 4 games here today. Wheatley down the middle of the lane, gets into traffic, shot ticks off the rim into the hands of Gulic. Up the left side comes the lefty Weiss. Nearly traveled, found Gulic a step inside the three-point line at the top. They want to go in the post for Hansen. It's not there. Instead to McWilliams in the right corner. Drives in and leaves it for Gulic. 12-foot jumper from outside the lane on the right is good for Marie Gulic. A 53% shooter on the year. Gives Oregon State a 4-0 lead here, a minute and a half into the ballgame. These teams mirror images of each other in the stat sheet with the exception of just a couple of things. Dakota Gonzalez pass into the left corner for a triple for Dylan Gonzalez. Wyatt briefly mentioned the three-point shooting is a key. UNLV, when it hits the three-pointers, is a much different team. 4-3 Oregon State. Jump stop by Hansen. Excuse me, that is Orem over on the right side. Gives off to Gulic outside the arc on the right. Hands in her face by Paris Strother. Now for Weiss, I thought she was going to get away with the travel. She did not. Little bunny hop as Tim Resch caught that one. Ball out of bounds on the sideline to UNLV. Beavers 4, Rebels 3. 7:57 remaining quarter number 1 from here in Las Vegas. Kathy Olivier with a quick conversation with Cheryl Flores and Scott Ruick. Standing up on the Oregon State sideline in a sharp-looking charcoal gray suit. Back to the basket, Paris Strother at the free throw line. Hands off for Brooke Johnson. Brooke drives in, and I'm not sure why she thought that push-off was a good idea. She had plenty of room to take the shot. Instead, pushes off and is going to find herself on the bench. Brooke Johnson commits her second foul. Katie Powell will check in at the next opportunity for UNLV, and Kathy Olivier none too happy at how quickly the ball was brought in, not giving her a chance to get Brooke Johnson off the floor. 4-3 Oregon State, 7:30 to go first quarter. McWilliams flips to the top, Weiss behind a Gulic screen. Now right back to McWilliams, fading into the right corner. Down the lane, Orem got away with the travel, skipped to the left side. There's a 3 by Hansen off the back iron, into the hands of Dakota Gonzalez. She pushes ahead on the left side, Nikki Wheatley. One-on-one against Weiss. Turnaround jumper off the glass and in. UNLV takes the lead 5-4. 7:15 remaining quarter number 1 from here in Las Vegas as Weiss brings it back over the timeline. Weiss crosses over Wheatley into the lane, kick into the right corner, wide open McWilliams for 3. That's a little short. Rebound to Brooke Johnson. Brooke off the right side, has to be careful with those 2 fouls. Stops and pops for 3 in transition, barely hits the front of the rim. Gulic uncontested for the rebound for Oregon State. Beavers trail by a point. To the right side, free throw line extended. McWilliams scoops into the corner for Weiss. Around the McWilliams screen. She works the arc. Weiss will back it out to the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada sign at the logo. Hands off for Hansen. Into the lane. Oh, no help defense at all from either of the Gonzalez twins. In for the layup is Hansen. And Oregon State reclaims the lead 6-5. 6:29 to go here, quarter number 1 from the T-Mobile Arena. UNLV will play 3 games in 3 days here at this beautiful 17,000-seat facility on the Las Vegas Strip. Dakota Gonzalez, oh, what a stop-and-go move down the lane, no good. Strother the rebound on the right side. Wild fading hook. Barely draws iron. Rebound to McWilliams. Beavers with a 1-point lead. Work in transition. Hansen working the baseline into the body of Dylan Gonzalez. And an offensive foul call. That's an interesting call by Cheryl Flores. I believe Dylan Gonzalez was inside the restricted arc, but maybe the angle of the drive is why that was ultimately not called.
Hansen will head to the bench with her second foul. Brooke Johnson out as well as Katie Powell, 6'4" sophomore transfer from the University of Arkansas, checks in. Katie, averaging 8.6 rebounds a game, has been quite a factor off the bench and in the starting lineup when Dylan Gonzalez was out with her injured left shoulder. Top of the key here is the 6'4" Powell. Over to the left side for Wheatley, drives in and takes 3 or 4 or maybe a couple more steps on that drive as UNLV turns the basketball over again. Second turnover for UNLV, 3 committed by Oregon State. Orem will check out. In for the first time, Brianna Brown, 6'3" redshirt junior from Oakland, California. Also in Michaela Pivick, freshman guard from Linwood, Washington, replacing Nick Williams. Oregon State, a deep team. Scott Ruick can go just about 10 deep on this roster, usually plays about 9. Oregon State 6, UNLV 5. 5.5 to go here in quarter number 1 from Las Vegas. 7-1 Beavers, 8-1 Rebels. And I believe there's an off-ball foul. No, 3-second violation called against Oregon State. Cheryl Flores now having a laugh with Kathy Olivier. Kathy Olivier with her face almost as red as her cardigan sweater, not looking as pleased with the official as Cheryl seems to be with her. Oregon State 6, UNLV 5. As the clock goes to 5:25 in the first quarter. Back to the basket, Paris Strother at the free throw line. Hands off Wheatley, then passes into the left corner for Katie Powell. UNLV will reset the possession now against man-to-man defense by Oregon State. Stop and go dribble by Dakota Gonzalez on the left side, waiting for someone to come free. Flashing into the lane, Strother, but the pass not there. Now Paris comes up to set a screen for Dakota. Takes a 2-bounce pass to the top. With 3 to shoot, she drives the lane. Her left-hand shot partially blocked by Brown. And did that hit the rim? I don't think it hit the rim. No shot clock violation is called.
I hit the rim. Hit the bottom of the rim.
Hit the very bottom of the rim, says Wyatt Tomczyk, who's in the business of making sure that I've got my stuff straight. 4:56 here remaining in the first quarter. Oregon State 6, UNLV 5. You're listening to UNLV Women's Basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network. Back to the T-Mobile Arena where UNLV trails Oregon State 6-5, 4:56 remaining here in quarter number 1. Wyatt, UNLV off to a cold start from the field, 2 of 10.
Yeah, 20%, but it's helped out. Oregon State has 4 turnovers early on in this first quarter, kept them in the game 6-5. Hopefully they can get out of it, give them some points, and try to get the lead here in this.
For the Lady Rebels' first meeting with Oregon State since the 2013 season when Sydney Weiss was a freshman and helped the Beavers to a 68-60 win. 17 points, 4 3-pointers for Weiss in that game. She's a 3-time All-Pac-12 selection, needs just 6 3-pointers to tie Candace Wiggins for the most in the history of the Pac-12 conference. UNLV with the basketball, out of bounds. Wheatley in for Dylan Gonzalez on the left side. Then Nikki comes to the top and takes the pass at 24 feet. Off a double screen, Dakota Gonzalez briefly bobbled the basketball on the left side, drives the middle of the lane, pulls up free throw line jumper. Good for Dakota Gonzalez, the leading scorer on this UNLV team at 14 points per game. Puts the Lady Rebels back in the lead, 7-6, 4:37 to go, quarter number 1. Gulich sees an open lane, drives down past Katie Powell. Katie gets a left hand on the shot. It hits the rim and is missed. Rebound to Powell. Here comes Wheatley over the timeline. Left to right pass for Dakota Gonzalez. Stops 3 steps behind the arc. Waits for a screen from the 6'4" Powell. Right back to Katie. Head fakes the three, gets Gulich in the air. One dribble and a 17-footer is too strong. Rebounded. Jordan Bell is in for the first time, and she's fouled going up on the rebound. Tim Resch with the call. It's going to go against Brianna Brown.
A lot of these shots have been wild for the Rebels so far. I think they need to calm down, relax, don't try to force anything against a good team.
That's the first against Brianna Brown and the third against Oregon State. Brown blocked the shot earlier for Oregon State. She is second in the Pac-12 at more than 2 per game. Jordan Bell struggles from the free throw line. You know that about her. 50% on the year as the first misses. And the second one rattles in. So he says she's a 50% shooter. She makes 50% on the trip. UNLV leads 8-6, 4:14 to go here in quarter number 1 as Weiss comes over the timeline. Floats it into the lane. Brown. She's double teamed. Shot blocked from behind by Powell. Gulich picks it up at the free throw line. Weiss directs traffic into the left corner. A drive in there by Kat Tudor, and that's another offensive foul drawn by Dylan Gonzalez. And it's a carbon copy of the first one against Hansen as Dylan Gonzalez waited below that restricted arc all the way on the baseline. If it doesn't enter from the top and go through that line, it can be a charging foul. It is the first against Kat Tudor, freshman guard from Woodbridge, California. UNLV will be shooting the penalty on any remaining Oregon State fouls. Pull-up jumper. Oh, Dakota Gonzalez is feeling it. That was a one-woman possession there for Dakota Gonzalez. 16-foot jumper from straight away gives UNLV its largest lead so far, 10-6 over Oregon State. 3:39 to go, quarter number 1 from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Play4Kay shootout, final game of the day. Pass by Gulich, intercepted by Wheatley. She's going to race Weiss down the court. Weiss steps out of the way. Wheatley steps right under her and lays it off the glass on the right side and in. UNLV has scored the last 7 points of this game to hold a 12-6 lead with 3:20 to go here in the first quarter. Weiss in trouble, spins away on the right side outside the arc, clears the double team. Now Gulich looking for someone over on the left side. It was Pivik coming and trying to take the basketball. And Dakota Gonzalez with a foul that Kathy Olivier does not like. Thought Dakota had played straight up defense. She did not. Her first, third against UNLV. Remember, Brooke Johnson picked up 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes and is on the bench likely for the remainder of these first 2 quarters. Gabriella Hansen, the starting lineup for Oregon State, did the same. We stop at the key, and I mean wide open in the right corner is Pivik for 3, no good. Rebound with one hand by Dylan Gonzalez on that shot that was too strong. Now Dakota down the right side, bodied up there by Kat Tudor, and Tudor called for the foul, and that's going to lead to free throws for UNLV in the penalty as Tudor is quickly picked up 2.
Second personal, 15 foul.
Tim Resch looking at the rest of his crew and saying that should be a penalty foul, and it is. 3 Oregon State subs waiting at the scorer's table as UNLV tries to extend its advantage. Dakota Gonzalez, 8th in the Mountain West in scoring, shooting 72% from the line. For a UNLV team that has struggled overall from the free throw line, it's 65% on the year. First one bounces around and drops down for a 13-6 lead, 2:49 remaining, quarter number 1. McWilliams, Orem, and Taylor Kelmer, sophomore guard from Chandler, Arizona, in for the first time. Gulich sits down along with Tudor with those 2 fouls. And Pivik, second one missed, rebounded by Brown. Big Oregon State team, 9 players over 6 feet tall. They have rebounded almost as well as UNLV has this year. What a crossover by Weiss, right side, in for the layup, no good, and a blocking foul called as she took contact down low. Jordan Bell, a little late coming over on that one. Commits the personal for the Lady Rebels, her first. And the 4th against UNLV in the period, so both teams will be shooting the penalty for the remaining 2:39 as the Lady Rebels hold a 7-point lead.
24, Sydney Weiss goes to the line. 2 shots.
Well, what can you say about Sydney Weiss? 15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds per game for the senior from Phoenix. Hits her first free throw. She's an 82% shooter from the line. Put up a triple-double in Oregon State's win against UC Davis on Wednesday. 27 points, a career high, to go with 10 rebounds and 10 assists. Voted one of the top 15 players in the country by ESPN before the season. Makes 2. UNLV 13, Oregon State 8, 2:30 remaining, quarter number 1. I feel like we've been around that time for quite a while, so we've had a few fouls in the last couple of possessions. Dylan Gonzalez thought about a 17-footer. There's the maturation of Dylan Gonzalez not taking that shot. Instead, it's Dakota from 18 straight away off the back iron. Rebound by Brown. She's being hounded down low, and UNLV commits a really unnecessary foul there. 3 players around Brown, and roughly 80 feet away from the basket. it will be Nikki Wheatley picking up the foul. When Nikki Wheatley spent the bulk of her freshman season and part of her sophomore season in foul trouble, it was that kind of foul that frustrated Kathy Olivier, one that has nothing to do with playing defense on the play. You're hounding someone who clearly has the rebound, and you're giving 2 free throws now to Brianna Brown, helping get Oregon State potentially back into the game here. Brown just a 46% free throw shooter and clangs that one off the right side of the iron. Paris Strother returns to the game for UNLV, replacing Jordan Bell. UNLV 13, Oregon State 8, 2:13 remaining in the first quarter from here in Las Vegas. Brown, 8 points, 7 rebounds a game for the redshirt junior. Hits number 2. And UNLV sees its edge cut to 4. Casually up the right side, Wheatley. For Dylan Gonzalez, flicks to the top, Strother. Into the lane, Powell has to pick that one up off the ground. Up and under move, no good with the left hand. Second chance, she put it up while she was still in the air and missed it short. Rebound goes off to McWilliams. UNLV just 5 of 16 from the floor thus far, but still holding a 13-9 lead. Drive and pass attempt by Taylor Kelmer there in the right corner. Tried to leave it for McWilliams, but Dylan Gonzalez anticipated and knocked it away. Taking off her warm-up top and checking in for UNLV will be the sophomore Alyssa Anderson, replacing Nikki Wheatley. I like that sub by Kathy Olivier with 1:44 to go in the quarter, potentially keeping Wheatley away from a second foul in the period. That means the point responsibilities likely go to Dakota Gonzalez with Johnson on the bench and Wheatley there as well. Weiss flicks to the left side. Therefore, Oram. In the lane she goes. Drive up and in for Colby Oram, the senior Canadian. For the 3rd time today, an Oregon State player finds an easy drive down the lane. Oregon State with 5 consecutive points to cut UNLV's lead to 13-11 here with 1:15 to go in the quarter. Dylan Gonzalez, that's an ill-advised 3 from straight away on the right side. And then Paris Strother compounds it by chasing Sydney Weiss over to the sideline and pushing her. And you're going to send an 82% free throw shooter to the line on another foul roughly 80 feet away from the basket. This is why we talked about this as a proving ground game, Wyatt, where UNLV, for all the talent it's shown, for the wins it's had, you have to keep composure in a game like this. And when you get a big lead against a team like Oregon State, you can't keep putting them at the line with fouls like this.
Well, it's curious to say, you know, Oregon State, they've been there before. They know how to handle the big game situation. UNLV, they're trying to climb to get to that situation. They know how to, you know, make mistakes out of inexperienced people. UNLV needs to keep their game plan going and do what they do best.
Weiss hits 2. She checks out in place of Pivick. The game is tied at 13 with 1:13 to go in the period. And we saw this happen in the game against Irvine where UNLV struggled in the first half. And then all of a sudden, the Lady Rebels held UC Irvine without a point for 8.5 minutes. So we know this is a team with the talent to do it. But against a team like Oregon State, the window for error is just a bit more shut. 53 seconds to go in the period as Dakota Gonzalez backs the ball out to the logo. She wants to go one-on-one with Pivick, and Pivick picked her pocket. Diving on the floor, Paris Strother saves it. 4 on the shot clock. Oh, Katie Powell's open down low. Dakota Gonzalez found her with 1 on the shot clock. And how about that broken possession leading to 2 points for UNLV? That's keeping your composure in a tight situation. Exactly what we were looking for.
Just like they drew it up.
Exactly. Kathy Olivier has that play in her playbook. Oram right side, a dribble and can't find anyone to get it to. Flips back to Pivick as Dakota Gonzalez had played great defense to keep it away from her momentarily. 20 seconds to go in the period. Pivick down the left side, leaves it for McWilliams in the left corner, and she cans the 16-footer. Game tied at 15 with 15 seconds to go in the period. Katie Powell picks the ball up and scoops it into Wheatley. UNLV will have the final possession of the first 10. Lady Rebels have led this game by as many as 7. Wheatley stop and go dribble right side, and a foul called, a hand check. Ooh, Tim Resch is not making a fan of Scott Ruick.
And they wanted the travel call there, but they didn't get it. Whole bench jumped up.
Did not catch the personal foul there against Oregon State. I think it might have been Kelmer. That is number 1 against Taylor Kelmer, sending Nikki Wheatley to the line where she has had her troubles this year, 51%, and she clangs the first off the back iron. 3 seconds left. Alyssa Anderson will check out. Mo Shepard in. Jordan Bell returns, replacing Katie Powell. I think exactly what Scott Ruick was looking for there was a carry, because it looked like Nikki Wheatley brought that ball up and it disappeared Houdini style for a second. I think they thought the ball had stopped, and that's what Tim Resch was going to call. Second one missed. Wheatley got in the lane, puts it up with no time left, and that shot after the buzzer on her third attempt will not count. We've played 10 minutes here from the T-Mobile Arena and settled absolutely nothing. 15-all between UNLV and Oregon State as we head to the second. You're listening to UNLV Women's Basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network. Feet. She's picked up man-to-man by Weiss, but Weiss knows she's not a shooter and sags about 10 feet off. Ball now to Dylan Gonzalez. Dylan with her backside at the right elbow, passes off to her sister outside the arc. Dakota in the lane. That's a beautiful layup by Dakota Gonzalez, splitting two defenders and giving UNLV the lead at 17-15. 30 seconds into the period. That's a shot well within the offense. 23 seconds in, UNLV took its time and listened to the instructions of assistant coach Wyatt Tomczyk. Orem outside the left elbow. One dribble and a handoff for Weiss. Weiss lost Nikki Wheatley and canned the 17-footer, and you have to watch out for Weiss getting clear on that. That might be a situation for UNLV to switch off the screen because Wheatley was 2 steps behind. The jumper makes it 17-all. Right corner, Dylan Gonzalez. Dylan averaging 8 points a game for UNLV. Much better shot selection overall this year, shooting 37%. Her sister Dakota misses from the right elbow. Rebound long out to Katie Powell. Gets it off to Wheatley. Wheatley head fake the three. Sydney Weiss didn't buy it for a second. She drives in and passes out. Powell right side. Little baby hook coming in on the drive. No good. Rebounded by Brown. Up the right side for Oregon State. Here is Pivot crossing into the lane. No help defense. My goodness, Paris Strother has to step over on that. Once the first defender, Dylan Gonzalez, is beaten, Paris just kind of watched as Pivot went to the hole and gave Oregon State a 19-17 lead. And I'm not a coach on this staff, but if Jordan Bell is sitting at the scorer's table right now, I have a feeling I know who she's coming in for. Dakota Gonzalez starts a drive down the left side of the lane. Hesitation dribble and a pass back out. Here's Powell for three from the top. Ticks off the front iron. Rebounded by Weiss. Outlet pass to the right side. McWilliams stops at quarter court. Pops it in and out of the hole. Rebound down low. A foul is going to go, I believe, against UNLV. Called by Cameron Inoue against Dylan Gonzalez for a hold. Dylan picks up her first, the first against UNLV in the period. Brooke Johnson with those two fouls will come back in. Jordan Bell onto the floor as well. Powell and Strother will sit down. If you're Paris Strother, you just need to offer a little more on that help defense in that situation. You can see Paris with the shoulder slumped is not happy coming over to the bench. It's been a rough go these last couple of games, as Wyatt told you about in the pregame. Brown, right off the inbound. Beautiful play as she knifed in on the right side. Put the layup up over Wheatley and in. Oregon State, after being down 13-7, has now outscored UNLV 14-4 over the last 6 minutes. Left side Johnson, head fakes the three, drives by Orem, has the shot rejected out of bounds, and UNLV will maintain possession. Decent-sized Oregon State contingent behind the Beaver bench across the court and to the left of us. Not bad UNLV crowd, especially for a night when the men's team is playing as well. Oregon State 21, UNLV 17, 7:47 to go in the second quarter. Right baseline jumper missed by Dakota Gonzalez. Rebound tapped out of bounds by UNLV on the end line, and Oregon State will take the basketball back. We mentioned that these teams are very similar on the stat sheet, with the exception of the fact that Oregon State usually takes pretty good care of the basketball. 1.5 assists to every turnover. UNLV struggles. They turn the ball over 19 times per game. It's those little things that make a difference between a team that's been to the Final Four and a team that's trying to get there. Brown, one bounce and a stop at the left elbow. Wheatley lost her balance, leaves Weiss wide open for three. And Sydney Weiss is a 44% shooter from three-point range. And Kathy Olivier, with her team trailing by 7 after leading by 7 just a few minutes ago, wants a timeout to talk it over. 7:23 remaining second quarter. Oregon State 24, UNLV 17. You're listening to UNLV women's basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network.
Nikki Wheatley fell down from eating just a second. It didn't even feel like that. She caught the ball, put the three in, and just took the life out of it. The Rebels really need to get something going right now.
With a player like Sydney Weiss, so much of what she does is before she catches the basketball. 2 straight possessions now. Once she lost Wheatley off a screen, that time she set her up so well that a superior athlete like Nikki Wheatley lost her balance, and that's all the room she needs, does Sydney Weiss, to put the shot in. 7-point UNLV deficit. They'll run a little dribble motion. It ends with Dakota Gonzalez missing again from the right elbow. It's a 3rd consecutive jumper she's missed from that spot. Rebound to Gulich, who checks back in for Scott Ruick. Weiss up the middle of the floor for Gulich. Free throw line jumper for the big German, no good. Rebound tip by Dakota Gonzalez to Brooke Johnson, who has to be careful with those 2 fouls. UNLV trailing 24-17. Wheatley starts a drive, stops outside the lane. Over to Dylan Gonzalez, who traveled with the basketball from the top of the key as she started her knife down the lane. Strother returns for UNLV. She will replace Jordan Bell as UNLV with its starting 5 back on the floor here. 6:48 to go, quarter number 2. Oregon State, the 15th ranked team in the country, 24, against a team receiving votes for the first time since the 2011-12 season. The UNLV Lady Rebels have 17. Pivick pulls the ball over her head, then dribbles into the lane from the right to the left. Here's Madison Washington, the freshman from Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, handing off for Weiss. Wanted up and under move by Sydney Weiss on the right side, and she lays it in, and Oregon State has a 9-point lead as Sydney Weiss is showing off the full repertoire. 13, half of Oregon State's points from the senior Sydney Weiss. Lob pass into the lane by Wheatley, tipped by Washington, intended for Dylan Gonzalez. Back out to Nikki Wheatley. Starts to dribble down the left side of the key. Pull up from 14 feet is good for Nikki Wheatley. It is that shot right there that could make all the difference for Nikki Wheatley in her game. She's a 41% shooter from the field, but she doesn't have much of a jumper. That one, however, brings UNLV back within 7. Lob down low for Gulich by Weiss. Knocked away by the help defender Brooke Johnson on the right side. Out of bounds to Oregon State. Beavers 26, Rebels 19. Can UNLV step into the upper echelon? Both these teams ranked in the mid-50s in the RPI. Both have low strength of schedule, though. UNLV trying to prove itself. Lob down low. McWilliams from the left side for Gulich. Great skip by Oregon State to open up the defense. McWilliams into Gulich for the layup. And now the Beavers are clicking on all cylinders, shooting 59% from the field and leading by 9. Strother off the glass, off balance on the right side and in. Paris Strother is 4th in the Mountain West, shooting 52% from the field. She averages 11 points per game, and UNLV needed that basket to stay competitive. Now trailing 28-21, just about halfway through the second quarter. Gulich receives the pass with her right hand from Weiss. Weiss sets up Dakota Gonzalez, but in the meantime, Paris Strother with the theft from Gulich. UNLV brings the basketball up. Wheatley scoops it for Brooke Johnson. Brooke looked at that basketball like it might do something to her, then got it back. Passes over for Dylan Gonzalez on the left baseline, and that is a shot UNLV just doesn't need. Off-balance jumper early in the shot clock. Rebound to Oregon State. Weiss in for Gulich. Has the size advantage against Dylan Gonzalez. Lays it in with the left hand, and a bad shot by UNLV on that possession is a 4-point swing at a time when they had gotten it down to a 7-point deficit. Oregon State now with a 30-21 lead with 4:37 to go in the period. I praised Dylan Gonzalez for her shot selection earlier, but that's one that UNLV needs to rethink. Brooke Johnson down the lane, over the shoulder shot from the right side, no good. Rebounded by Madison Washington. Into the left corner, McWilliams. Gulich wide open. Then 2 UNLV defenders close on the double team. Lob to the top, Weiss. Rapivich in the right corner. Lost the ball down low on the pass to Gulich. Tied up down there by Dylan Gonzalez and Marie Gulich. And the held ball will point in possession of Oregon State. Mo Shepard in for UNLV, along with Katie Powell. Dylan Gonzalez will sit down, as will her sister Dakota. McWilliams checks out for Oregon State, as returning to the floor is Kat Tudor, the freshman guard from Woodbridge, California. Averages 9 points a game, but picked up 2 quick fouls in this one and had to sit down. Madison Washington back out as Colby Orman in the front court for Scott Ruick. 7th-year head coach, a graduate of Oregon State in 1991, just like Kathy Olivier, a graduate of UNLV. Here is Pivick, double teamed on the right baseline off the inbound. Skips to the left side. Tudor lines up the 3, barely grazes the front iron. She's usually a much better 3-point shooter than that. She's 4th in the country in 3-point percentage. Wheatley in transition. Pull-up jumper. That hit all parts of the rim before finally deciding to drop down and cutting UNLV's deficit to 7 at 30-23. 3:49 to go in the period. Weiss skipped from the right to the left. Tudor will launch another 3, and that one finds nothing but the bottom of the net as Oregon State has its largest lead of the game at 10. 33-23 with 3:35 to go in the period. Wheatley jump stop at the right elbow. Gives off to Brooke Johnson. Brooke pushed off again, but didn't get called for it. Mo Shepard. Oh, that's the best play she's made in a long time, and Paris Strother couldn't pay it off. Mo knifed her way down the right side of the lane. A no-look pass to Paris on the left, but she couldn't hit the layup. In transition, Tudor for 3. That's way too long. Nice box out by Mo. Long rebound out to Paris Strother. Ahead to Wheatley on the left side. Wheatley, stop and go dribble. 2-foot jump stop. Shot rejected by Weiss, but a foul called by Tim Resch as Wheatley ended up with her backside on the pine. And the personal goes against Weiss. her first.
Paris had to finish that one at the end. That was a good pass from Mo Shepard. Easy layup. Those are the easy buckets that UNLV is not going to get a lot of. They got to take advantage of it. And they also can't leave Tudor open at 3. She's a very good three-point shooter with 56% on the year.
Wheatley back to the stripe. That one rattles in. UNLV shooting its first free throws of the second period here. Now 3 of 7 from the line as Bell returns, replacing Strother. And Dakota Gonzalez will check in for Brooke Johnson. 33-24, Oregon State leading UNLV. Lady Rebels had a 7-point lead in the first quarter at 13-6, but Oregon State has really turned it on since then, led by Sydney Weiss, who has 13 points and has not missed from the floor or the free throw line. 2 converted by Wheatley. It is an 8-point lead for Oregon State over UNLV. 15th ranked team in the country, Oregon State, against the 8-1 UNLV Lady Rebels. Gulich with a great cut to the back door and lays it in on the left side. Give the assist to Colby Oram on the free throw line pass. And the Beavers restore their lead to 10. Man-to-man defense by both these squads all the way through. Powell posting up right side. Wheatley decides to drive in instead. Kick out. That's an open 3 for Dakota Gonzalez. That's short. Rebound long out to Jordan Bell. That's a cheap one for Jordan. She's usually hard at work on the boards, averaging 5 rebounds per game. 2:30 to go in the second period. UNLV trailing 35-25. Powell head fakes the jumper right baseline. She's closed out by Oram. Fading shot. That's a bad idea for Katie Powell. She thought she had a foul coming. None called. Rebounded by Kat Tudor. Up ahead to Weiss. Weiss. Lob down low. Oram unable to corral that pass. Ends up falling down as Weiss led her just a little bit too far. The ball out of bounds to UNLV. It's that point guard instinct where you put the ball not where the player is, but where they need to be. Oram couldn't adjust. Weiss with a tap of her chest and a high five as she came down the floor like a good senior leader that she is. 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. UNLV trailing by 10. Driving in right side, Dakota Gonzalez flips to the left side, Jordan Bell. She's one-on-one on the left and dribbled it off her foot out of bounds for UNLV. That is another turnover. Lady Rebels just not taking fantastic care of the basketball in the last few possessions. UNLV 1 of its last 6, officially charged with 4 turnovers, but there have been a few bad shots that are going to count just like turnovers ultimately in the stat sheet. Tudor drives left side, offensive foul called by Cameron Inoue. It's an illegal screen set by Marie Gulich. That is Gulich's first. Second team foul against Oregon State in the period. UNLV does not have its usual rebounding edge. Oregon State up 18-17. UNLV 6th in the country at 48 rebounds per game. They have a 15 rebound advantage most games against other teams. Oregon State pretty good in their own right, a 44-35 edge on average. 35-25 Oregon State lead over UNLV here at the T-Mobile Arena. Play4Kay shootout. Jordan Bell at the top of the key. Overhead pass to the right wing for Wheatley. A jump and a reception of the pass by Katie Powell, and she traveled as she turned her way into the lane. And UNLV has seen the wheels come falling off here in the second quarter, trailing by 10 after leading Oregon State by 7 in the first period. 70 ticks to go in quarter number 2. UNLV trailing by 10 and Oregon State with the ball. Wheatley jabs with her right hand at the ball against Sydney Weiss, but Weiss backs the dribble away and gets out of trouble. Here's Pivik. Driving against Dakota Gonzalez, gets by her. She's double-teamed. Katie Powell with a good help defense, and fouled from behind is Dakota Gonzalez. Gets a hand up from Sydney Weiss. UNLV should be shooting free throws out of this as Pivik with the trip on Dakota Gonzalez.
Dakota wants to floor him up. Nobody's looking at her right now.
I apologize saying free throws. That is on the other side of the ledger with the personal fouls. 3rd against Oregon State in the period. Strother back in, replacing Mo Shepard. Tim Resch is going to call out the Wyatt Tomczyk Memorial Squeegee here. 54.9 to go in the period. Oregon State with a 35-25 lead against UNLV. Lady Rebels struggling to shoot the basketball, just 29%, and that's what Oregon State does to you. They allow teams just 31% shooting on the year while putting the basketball at a 45% clip. Well, they've been much better than that today. 61% from the floor for Oregon State. They've made 5 of their 6 free throws as well. That's how they've overcome 10 turnovers in the game. Now the basketball game continues. Strother back to the basket right side, working her way down. Baby hook over the shoulder, good for Paris Strother. She points at Katie Powell, who got her the good pass. 4 points now for Strother. UNLV being led by Wheatley with 10, Dakota Gonzalez with 7. Sydney Weiss of Oregon State leads all scorers with 13. Orem double teamed outside the arc on the left side, and a foul committed by UNLV. Kathy Olivier nearly down on her knees, hands on her head in frustration as the personal goes against Nikki Wheatley. So the first foul against Wheatley, 80 feet away from the basket. That on a non-shooter with her back to the basket at 20 feet away. That's not how you want your starting point guard to use up her fouls. Alyssa Anderson will have to check in for Nikki, who picks up her second. So now Nikki Wheatley and Brooke Johnson both with 2. Brooke has been severely limited in the first half, playing just 9 minutes, no points on 0 of 5 shooting. Orem didn't realize that she had actually looked at the hoop, started her feet, and then took a dribble, and Cheryl Flores explains it to her now. Orem still looks confused. I'm not. It was a travel. Katie McWilliams returns for Oregon State.
That's the, I wish I can argue, but I can't. I'll be even technicals.
I'll tell you what, the look for me from Colby Orem right there was, if Coach looks at that on the film, I don't want him to think that I didn't know what I was doing. So I'll look really confused and kind of half-argue the call. 10 seconds to go in the period here. UNLV with the ball. Dakota Gonzalez in the lane, has some room, fell to the floor, but what a heady play to bounce it out to Paris Strawther, who finds Katie Powell at the top, 3 in and out of the hole. That's the end of the first half. Off the rebound by Oregon State. UNLV led by 7 early. Oregon State turns it around, shooting 61% in the first half to hold a 35-27 lead over UNLV here at halftime from the T-Mobile Arena in the Play4Kay Shootout. We'll be back momentarily. You're listening to UNLV Women's Basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network.
And it will be the Lady Rebels with the basketball as Dylan Gonzalez makes some last-second uniform adjustments. Nikki Wheatley waits in the backcourt to take the ball, and UNLV looking for that statement win. 8-1 on the year, the only loss to BYU in the Maui tournament. Oregon State, a Final Four participant, 7-1 last year, and UNLV still right in this ballgame. Wheatley top of the key, starts down the lane, has room, working her way against Gabriella Hansen, and Hansen just picked up her third. Trailing the play, Hansen tried to give that little casual arm flash down, block the shot. It was not so casual. It was caught by Cameron Inoue. It's the third against her, and the first against the Oregon State Beavers. Wheatley's first off the front rim, and UNLV's struggles at the free throw line continue. Lady Rebels now 4 of 9 from the stripe, 65% on the year. Wheatley herself a 51% shooter. She makes number 2 to bring the Lady Rebels back within 7. And no surprise here, Kathy Olivier loves to go press in situations like this, and she springs it on Oregon State. Man press, as at the point right now for Oregon State is Hansen, as Weiss will play off guard. Hansen had it knocked away by Wheatley, and immediately Hansen leaning down to tie her orange high tops as Oregon State waits to bring the ball in.
You're a little nervous there with Wheatley poking there with 2 fouls. You don't want to go on the bench without your backup point guard and Tiara Tucker out with a foot injury.
Remember, both of those fouls against Wheatley were kind of ill-advised fouls in the first half. Orm with a handoff for Weiss. Here is the senior standout. 15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds per game for Oregon State. In the left corner, foul called. Excuse me, no. Cameron Inoue is going to call a 3-second violation both times today. That's kind of caught me off guard because I don't see it from the officials very often, but Oregon State called for camping out in the lane, and UNLV gets the basketball back, trailing by 7 here early in the third quarter in the Play4Kay shootout, raising money and awareness for the Kay Yao Cancer Fund for breast cancer awareness and research. Top of the key, Dylan Gonzalez for 3, and she knocks it down. And that's the shot you want to see Dylan Gonzalez take. In rhythm on the assist from Wheatley. Work the ball in, kick it back out. Lady Rebels trail 35-31 now, a minute into the third quarter. Weiss holds the ball outside the arc left side. Overhead pass into the left corner for Hansen. Hansen stays in the game here with 3 fouls. Hansen working against Brooke Johnson, who has 2 fouls. Brooke stays in front of her around the arc. Gives to Orem. She's triple teamed in the lane. Lost the basketball. Pulls up for the jumper off the back iron. The 6'5" Gulich with the rebound. Kicks out to Weiss, and Weiss uses her left hand to reset the play. They'll go 1-4 low. At the top of that 1-4, here is Weiss. Working on the right side, spinning and spinning. Tries to get around the hedge of Strother at the top. Right back to a wide open McWilliams, who missed the triple in and out of the hole. Rebound to Brooke Johnson. Cross-court pass. That is a terrible idea, and she gets away with it as McWilliams couldn't save it from going out of bounds. Brooke Johnson taps her chest with her right hand, says, "My bad." A little over-eager, and that's exactly how I'd term Brooke Johnson for most of this game. Over-eager. She just looks a little too hyped up to get something going here for UNLV. Substitution for UNLV, Katie Powell checks in. Paris Strother sits down. Pivick in the backcourt for Scott Ruick as Orem will sit down. Powell flips back to Wheatley. UNLV has cut its halftime deficit, now down to just 4, 35-31. 8:08 to go third quarter. Hesitation dribble. Dylan Gonzalez has the room, gets the layup. She head faked McWilliams into the air, then put it up over her shoulder, off the glass and in. The Lady Rebels have scored the first 6 points of the second half. They trail by just a bucket, 35-33, 7:53 to go here in the third. Left baseline McWilliams in the post for Gulich. Little move against Powell. Where did that foul come from? From Cameron Inoue. Katie Powell holds the ball against her forehead with a smile on her face. Cameron Inoue says the hands came down. I'm not sure Katie Powell had a chance to put her hands down on the play. To me, that's one of those where as soon as the defender has her body hit in the chest, her arms just sort of naturally fall a little bit, and it's going to send Gulich to the line. 76% on the year, 10.7 rebounds a game for the 6'5" junior center from Cologne, Germany. She has played every game in the last 3 seasons for Scott Ruick. That one rattles around and goes down. 2 free throws make it 37-33. Oregon State leading UNLV. 7:43 to go, quarter number 3. Winner tomorrow plays Quinnipiac. Loser plays New Mexico State. Dylan Gonzalez launches a 3 from the top, no good. Rebound to McWilliams, and that's the 3 she takes too early in the possession. Not a good look at the basket. Weiss in transition, stops outside the arc left side, now brings it around to the right. Dribbles between the legs. Pushes a pass over the left side. Hansen into the right corner. Pivick shakes the shoulders to clear room. Left hand dribble into the paint. Now she's in trouble. Gulick lost the ball off her leg at the free throw line as her 5th turnover, and diving down to the ball, she fouls Wheatley and picks up her 2nd personal. That's number 2 against Oregon State in the 3rd quarter. Tim Resch asking Dylan Gonzalez to come take the ball in the backcourt. 4-point Beaver lead, 7:12 to go here in the 3rd quarter. A showdown between the number 15 team in the country, Oregon State, at 7-1 on the year, and UNLV receiving votes, 5 votes in the poll. Nikki Wheatley puts up what might have been the worst shot of her UNLV career, a 3-pointer that went about 15 feet. Rebound to Oregon State. Gulick in the post, turns into the left corner, finds Hansen to the top for pivot. Great passing. Oh, Brooke Johnson called for her 3rd personal. I thought she was there in time, but Tim Resch said she was still moving. Oh, tough call by Tim Resch against UNLV, but for Brooke Johnson, that is her 3rd. Brooke got up and took a long look at Tim Resch and realized that if she got a technical foul, it would be her 4th, and decided not to say anything. Ball out of bounds to Oregon State. 37-33 lead for the Beavers over UNLV. 2 hands in the face of Weiss by Dakota Gonzalez. They've now shifted Nikki Wheatley off Weiss to see what Dakota can do against her. Dakota stays in front. Weiss dribbling and dribbling. Can't get anywhere. Katie Powell. Oh, she's called for the block at the top of the key. And for a 2nd consecutive possession, I thought a UNLV defender was there in time to take the charge, but Katie Powell is called for a blocking foul.
That's 3 questionable calls that we've seen from here. That's going to keep Oregon State in the ballgame and really kill UNLV's momentum as they got it within 2 there.
First against Katie Powell for UNLV. Both of those 50-50 plays. I have to admit that we don't necessarily have the best look from here on the sideline, but both plays certainly could have gone UNLV's way. Good passing from the right to the left finds McWilliams. She's open there with nobody guarding her. Now to the top for Weiss. Picked up by Dakota Gonzalez. Slipped to the right side for Pivik. Inside the arc she comes. Into the post for Gulick. Gulick dribbles her way right by Brooke Johnson and traveled with the basketball. That is fantastic help defense by Brooke Johnson, because Katie Powell was beaten cleanly on the lob over the top, and Brooke Johnson, just by putting the body in front of Gulick, forced her to hesitate. And if you're 6'5", you do not want to put the ball on the floor. It's not what you've been trained to do. And we say, Nakashine for the turnover. Pass on the left side, tipped by Pivik right over to Director of Basketball Operations Rachel Dunn for UNLV. 6:07 to go, quarter number 3. Oregon State 37, UNLV 33. Rebels with the basketball in their home whites. Oregon State in the road blacks. Powell posting up right side. Brooke Johnson can't get her the ball. Dakota Gonzalez nearly lost it, then did lose it. Fumbling off the pass from Johnson. Picked up by Pivik. Pivik has to stop outside the lane on the left side and gives back out to Weiss. Wide open for 3, and Wheatley has to close out there. You have to know that Sydney Weiss cannot be left open at all. That 3 is her 2nd. First points of the 2nd half. Weiss has 16 and a huge bucket for Oregon State, leading 40-33 with 5:35 to go in the 3rd quarter. Dylan Gonzalez drives the lane, finds Powell, dribbles over to the right side, has the shot rejected by Gulick. Gets her own rebound and finds Johnson in the left corner. Pull-up jumper by Brooke is in and out. Boarded by Dakota Gonzalez, and here go the Lady Rebels with that offensive rebounding that keeps them in ball games. Now the play will be stopped for Nikki Wheatley in the backcourt. Wheatley on her tiptoes, bent over at the waist, using her 2 hands to hold her up. She's in a lot of pain as Dylan Gonzalez comes over to attend to her. Rachel Waddle quickly over from the UNLV sideline to attend to Nikki Wheatley. 5:18 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Oregon State 40, UNLV 33. Paris Strother will check in for UNLV. Wheatley is down maybe 10 feet from us. It appears to be an injury to her right leg. Rachel Waddle is asking her questions to figure out exactly what's going on. Appears to be on the inside of the knee, and Wheatley, her head tilted back, the sweat glistening off her forehead, in pain as Rachel Waddle begins to roll down the sleeve she has, and that is the last place you want to see Rachel Waddle attending to, is the knee of Nikki Wheatley. Oregon State with a 40-33 lead. Go ahead, Wyatt.
I couldn't see. Did you see what happened?
I did not see. I think the play happened a little bit behind us with Wheatley, because we were focused on the action in the middle of the lane. UNLV came up with back-to-back offensive rebounds on that play, and the action was happening down by the basket. Nikki Wheatley is right by that pink half-court line as Rachel Waddle continues to manipulate and ask questions, now working behind the knee of Nikki Wheatley. And for a UNLV team that's had such fantastic momentum to start this year, 8-1 on the year, best start since the 2001-2002 season when the Lady Rebels began 14-1. Only team in the Mountain West with just one loss along with Boise State. This is not what UNLV can really stomach, with its only true point guard on the roster now being helped up by the athletic training staff, not putting any weight on that right leg, and she's going to be helped over to the sideline.
I was going to mention now, who do you play at point? You got Wheatley down, T.R. Tucker's out with an injury. That brings a big concern there for Coach Kathy Olivier.
Well, when Nikki Wheatley's off the floor, generally Brooke Johnson handles point duties. Brooke, a point guard in high school, has spent plenty of time for UNLV at the point over her first 3 years. The kind of emergency option for UNLV is Dakota Gonzalez, but Brooke Johnson, very honestly, probably has the best vision on the team. An outstanding passer, and maybe that's where her offense can get into this game. Brooke 0 of 6 from the floor, no points. She will bring the basketball in for UNLV. Brooke to the right of the stanchion. Flips out for Dylan Gonzalez outside the arc. UNLV trailing by 7. Dylan starts down, bounces out to her sister Dakota. Fakes to the top, drives to the hole. Layup off the glass, no good. Rebound, Strother battling for it. Dylan gets it. She's in between 3 players. Scooped it up too strong off the glass, and the rebound knocked out of bounds by Pivik on the far side. UNLV maintains possession. Oregon State with 40-33 lead with 5:06 to go in the third quarter. UNLV led by 7 in the first. Oregon State scored 20 points in the second quarter, took an 8-point lead to the break, and UNLV has battled back here early. But a 3 by Sydney Weiss, keeping her perfect from the floor. 5 of 5, 2 of 2 from three-point range, giving Oregon State a 7-point lead. Dakota Gonzalez took that possession all by herself and then put up a circus act left-hand baby hook in the lane, rebounded by Oregon State. Weiss, crossover from left to right, comes around the Powell head. She's open again for 3. That's her first miss, in and out of the hole, and I mean she missed by a hair as Dakota Gonzalez got caught up on the screen. Rebound to UNLV. Lady Rebels trailing by 7. UNLV on a 3-game winning streak. Strother hits the pass from Dakota Gonzalez in the lane. Has the shot blocked from behind. Rebound on the left side, and that's a fantastic follow-up by Paris Strother. Left hand high off the glass and in on the left side to cut UNLV's deficit to 5 with 4:18 to go in the period. Strother now with 6. Big story, Nikki Wheatley being helped off the floor with a right knee injury just a moment ago. She was leading UNLV with 11 points. Lob down low for Brianna Brown. She's being held by Strother. That's a good call by Cheryl Flores, as Strother was not allowing the post to come open. Second against Paris, and that will bring us into a timeout here at the T-Mobile Arena. UNLV hanging tough in this clash of the early season Titans here. Oregon State with a 40-35 lead over UNLV with 4:07 to go in the third. You're listening to UNLV Women's Basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network. Number 3 from the T-Mobile Arena on the Las Vegas Strip. Adam Candy and Wyatt Tomczyk watching UNLV battling, trailing 15th ranked Oregon State 40-35. Wyatt, UNLV, 1 of its last 9 from the floor. Hasn't necessarily been the greatest shot selection, but 14 Oregon State turnovers. Defense, which was kind of betraying UNLV in the second, has picked up here in the third, and the Lady Rebels have allowed just 5 points in the first 6 minutes of the period.
Yeah, you look at all the things we've been saying has been kind of a little bit ugly for the Rebels. 4:07 remaining in the third quarter. They have a 5-point, are down by 5. They're in it, you know. As hard a game this is, they still have a chance to win it. They're playing very tough, very aggressive. Hopefully they can get it out.
First game against a ranked team for UNLV since 2012 against Dayton for the final 4:07 in the third. Here's Wyatt Tomczyk.
Thank you, Adam. Weiss will bring it into Pivik. Pivik gives up to Weiss. Weiss thought about a 3, gets in the lane, finds Pivik at the top of the key. Pivik driving back to Weiss, a open 3, that is Tudor, and that 3 is no good, an air ball. Kind of surprised as that ball went with UNLV. Tudor came into the game shooting 51% from 3, has missed pretty bad, as Dylan Gonzalez will bring it up the court. 3:45 remaining, Rebels down by 5. Brooke Johnson has it right in front of the Rebel bench. Gives it up to Dakota Gonzalez, back to Powell. Powell gives it down low to Strahler. Strahler back out to Dylan. Dylan has Weiss on her. Dylan gives it back to Strahler. Strahler, a 3 from the corner is good. Paris Strahler with her first 3 of the game. And it's 40-38 with 3:25 remaining. Weiss will bring it up the court. Guarded by Dakota Gonzalez. Weiss looking for anybody open. Finds Tudor. Tudor has Dylan on her. Trying to find someone open. Finally gets it to Weiss. Weiss getting ready for a pick, and a foul is called on Dakota Gonzalez. She does not like it. That will be the 5th team foul for the Rebels. And the second personal on Dakota Gonzalez. That will send Oregon State to the line. Weiss 4 of 4 on the day. She's an 82% free throw shooter, leads the team in that category. First free throw attempt is short.
I was about to make fun of the guy behind us who just yelled brick at an 82% free throw shooter, but thank you, Nostradamus.
Hey, you know, ball don't lie sometimes, right?
Apparently it didn't. Dakota Gonzalez didn't like the foul, and the free throw didn't go.
Second free throw attempt by Weiss is good. And Oregon State has a 41-38 lead with 3:05 remaining. Brooke Johnson will bring it up the court. As we mentioned, Nikki Wheatley was carted off with a injury, knee injury, or carried off, sorry. Brooke Johnson will bring it up the court. She is fouled. And it looks like the foul is on Brianna Brown.
Yeah.
That is Oregon State's third team foul. That is Brown's second personal. Brooke Johnson will go to the line. A very good free throw shooter, 83% on the year. That'll be her first trips to the charity stripe. Hopefully get the game within 1 for the Rebels, who have not led since the 9:37 mark of the second quarter.
Long discussion going on here between Cheryl Flores and Scott Ruick on the Oregon State sideline. Brianna Brown also talking to Cameron Inoue, the official.
Johnson makes the first, 41-39.
First point of the day for Brooke Johnson.
Johnson came in averaging 12 a game as she hits her second. And the Rebels down by 1 with 2:50 remaining, 41-40. Weiss will bring it up the court. Weiss guarded by Gonzalez. She tried to give it up to Hansen, finally does. Hansen is guarded by about 3 different Rebels. Brooke Johnson couldn't get away. Weiss thought about a 3, but had Gonzalez right in her face. She'll reset the offense with 10 on the shot clock. It's a pick from Brown. Weiss splits a double team. A 3 in the corner by Tudor is off the rim, no good. Rebounded by Brown, and the putback attempt is no good, but a foul is called on Katie Powell. That's the 16th foul for the Rebels, and the 4th for Katie Powell. Brianna Brown will be at the line. 2 shots. She is 1 of 2 on the day.
I believe that might be an error in the system on those 4 fouls against Katie Powell, but we will double check. Pretty sure Katie does not have 4 yet.
Jordan Bell will return for Powell.
I have her for 2. We will see if that is accurate or inaccurate.
Hey, you got me scared there. The stat broadcast told me 4.
The stat broadcast usually doesn't lie, but then again, I try not to either.
Brown makes the second, And Oregon State has a 3-point lead, 43-40, 2:20 remaining here in the third quarter. Brooke Johnson will bring it up the court. She's guarded by Hansen. Brooke gives it up to Dakota. Dakota looking to drive at the free throw line. Shot is good. Nothing but net there for Brooke Johnson, or Dakota Gonzalez. She has 11 points on the day. Rebels have within one, 43-42, 2 minutes remaining. Weiss will bring it up the court. Gonzalez tries to swipe at it, gives it up to Brown. Brown has Strawler on her. Brown looking for anybody to get open. Finally finds Hansen. Hansen met about 2 Rebels there. Brown is open. This 18-footer from the corner is good. And Oregon State now up 45-42. A minute 45 remaining. Brooke Johnson will bring it up the court for the Rebels. Johnson gives it up to Bell. Back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez at the top of the key is guarded by Hansen. Back over to Johnson. Back over to Gonzalez. He gives up to Bell. Bell finds a wide open Brooke Johnson. This will be a big shot if it goes, and it does. Brooke Johnson, her first 3 of the game, and we're tied 45 with 1:20 remaining here in the third quarter.
What great vision by Jordan Bell. Fantastic pass.
Weiss is met by about 3 different Rebels. Gives it up to Gulich. Gulich lost the ball. A little awkward, gives up to Hansen. Hansen looking to drive, gives it back to Gulich at the top of the free throw line. That ball is short, rebounded by Jordan Bell. Nope, it got tipped away by Brown, but the ball will go with UNLV with a minute remaining here in the third quarter. Boy, what a third quarter for the Rebels, as we mentioned. That's their quarter.
Bench contributions. Jordan Bell on these last 2 possessions. A fantastic assist to an open Brooke Johnson on that play. You're not going to see it in the stat sheet because she didn't get the rebound. But the box out she had on Brown, she just kept moving Brown farther and farther away from the ball. And ultimately, that box out led to UNLV getting the team rebound and having a chance to take the lead.
Hansen knocked the ball out of Brooke Johnson's hand. No time went off the clock. As Dylan Gonzalez will trot up the court, she takes the inbound pass, gives it up to Johnson. Johnson guarded by Hansen, gives up to Dylan. Dylan back to Bell, back to Dakota at the top of the key. Dakota looking to drive. A wild layup attempt is blocked by Gulich. Weiss will bring it up the court, back to Hansen. Hansen will reset the offense, gives up to Gulich. Dakota finally gets over for the Rebels. A corner 3 for Hansen is no good. An air ball and a foul is called.
It's going to go against Oregon State, I believe. Tim Resch pointed to the other end of the floor.
Brianna Brown got the foul, her 3rd personal. 14 foul.
Well, Wyatt, we talked about defense being the need for UNLV after allowing 20 points in the second quarter. Thus far, with 36.9 to go in the third, they've given up just 10 points to Oregon State in this quarter, and that's how they've gotten back into this game.
There's going to be a little bit of a delay. I believe Dakota Gonzalez has blood on her arm. Boy, I tell you what, that's about the 3rd or 4th time she's had a cut.
Which is absolutely no surprise with the way Dakota Gonzalez plays. She is in your shorts at all times on defense, and she is fearless going down the lane and taking contact. And on that last play, she was into the 6'5" Gulich and the 6'3" Brown. And sometimes if you rub up against a tree, you end up with a cut.
Well, she's making athletic trainer Rachel Waddle earn her paycheck. And it's kind of an unofficial timeout. If you're just joining us, it is 45-45 with 36.9 remaining. Rebels have the ball.
In the third quarter.
As both teams will be ready. Jordan Bell will inbound the ball. She gives it up to Johnson. Johnson has Hansen on her. Johnson gives it over the half-court line, gives up to Bell. Bell to Dakota in front of the UNLV bench. Back over to Dylan. Dylan at the top of the key, gets a pick from Bell. Dylan looking to drive. Picks up her dribble, gives it back up to Bell, to Dakota. 10 on the shot clock for the Rebels. Dakota gets a pick from Strawler. Dakota looking to drive, gives up to Strawler. An open 3 from the top of the key is good! Paris Strawler with her second 3 of the game. And the Rebels have the lead. It's intercepted. Dakota Gonzalez intercepts it. There's no time left. She had to shoot it. She didn't realize it. But nonetheless, the Rebels take the lead on a great third quarter. They are up 48-45 here on the UNLV IMG Network.
into the final quarter, up by 3. This has been back and forth all game long. UNLV led by 7 in the first. Then went into halftime, as we mentioned, down 8. They begin with a chance to knock off the 15th ranked team in the country here in the fourth quarter with a 48-45 lead. Dakota Gonzalez has made a difference on Sydney Weiss at the point. McWilliams in the right corner, bounce out to Weiss. Dakota staying as close to her as she possibly can. Moving those feet, pass to the right corner for McWilliams again. McWilliams can't find any holes here, and Dylan, oh, that's Dakota Gonzalez stealing it over to Dylan. The pass was a bouncer intended for Weiss, and Dakota got a hand in the passing lane. Here is Dakota with UNLV leading by 3, 30 seconds into the fourth. She'll pull up for 3 behind Jordan Bell, and what about that? Dakota Gonzalez knocks down the triple. The Lady Rebels are jubilant on the bench. They have a 6-point lead here over Oregon State in the fourth quarter at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas as Weiss drives right by Dakota Gonzalez on the right side, and Dakota, that actually is not the worst foul for Dakota Gonzalez to take. Yeah, it's her 3rd personal, but Weiss was about to make something happen while UNLV had the momentum. First foul of the fourth quarter against UNLV. Right sideline inbound for Oregon State. Oregon State 7-1 on the year. They lost at home by 1 point to Marquette. Their only loss of the season, surprisingly, came on their home floor. Hansen, who's been in foul trouble all day, starts from the left to the top. Finds Brown, who had a couple of big baskets at the end of the third quarter for Oregon State. Beavers have not scored the last 3 minutes. Brown to the back door, under the double team, and she's fouled as she went up for the reverse layup. Good backdoor cut there by Oregon State as Paris Strother picks up her 3rd.
Third personal, second team foul.
For UNLV, Dakota Gonzalez has 14. Paris Strother has 12. She was the story of that period. She looked frustrated early. A defensive lapse led to her being pulled out of the game, but Paris Strother had 2 baskets toward the end of the second quarter, and it looked like she got some momentum going. She hit a pair of 3s in the third quarter. We mentioned the need for that 3rd scorer for UNLV, and it has been Strother as Brown heads back to the line, where she's now 4 of 5 on the day as Oregon State pulls back within 5 with 8:48 to play. McWilliams will sit down, Pivik back in. Remember, for UNLV, Nikki Wheatley was helped off the floor with a right knee injury in the third quarter. Her status likely out for the rest of the game. Gulich gets the rebound, and oh my goodness, 6'5", blocked by the 6-foot Dylan Gonzalez, who takes it all the way the other way. Missed the layup short. Jordan Bell on the rebound had it blocked by Brown. Out of bounds. Oregon State maintains possession.
That was a good
UNLV maintains possession.
That was a good defensive play by Dylan Gonzalez, but not a good offensive. I think she should have held back. She kind of ran into a wall there.
UNLV loves to move in transition, but there probably was a pass available that would have been a better look at the basket. Jordan Bell, she has been a force in the second half, created that second chance. Strother head fakes the 3 at the top, struggles to control the dribble, and bounces back to Brooke Johnson. Brooke has de facto point duties with Wheatley out of the game. Backs it out to the logo, waits for a screen from Bell, uses it to come to the right. Hansen staying in front of her. Brooke nearly traveled, throws a left-hand pass to Strother in the left corner, drives by Gulich, little baby shot, no good from outside the lane, boarded by Pivik. Here comes the freshman guard from Linwood, Washington, up the left sideline. UNLV with a 51-46 lead over 15th-ranked Oregon State. 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. Bell with a good hedge to keep Weiss from coming around. She pushes it to Gulich at the top, now into the left corner. Hansen, right by Brooke Johnson. She goes, jumps in the air, and her cross-court pass is intercepted by Dakota Gonzalez. 2-on-2 down the floor comes Dakota. Right back out to Brooke. Quickly finds Dylan left wing quarter court. To the top for Brooke Johnson. Here comes the junior from Hanford, California, averaging 12 points per game. Today has been quiet with just 5 on 1 of 7 shooting. Into the lane for Jordan Bell. Best move of her UNLV career, Wyatt. Oh my goodness. And the inbound pass is stolen by Dylan Gonzalez. Everything coming up, Lady Rebels, here with a 7-point lead in the fourth. Jordan Bell started on the right side of the hoop, took 1 dribble under the hole, and had a reverse left-hand layup to give UNLV the 7-point lead. Dakota Gonzalez pulls up right elbow jumper. It's a 9-point UNLV lead. Scott Ruick kneeling over on the sideline. I don't know how long he can wait for a timeout, and he calls one with Tim Resch. Lady Rebels trailed by 8 at the half. Against the 15th ranked team in the country, they now have a 9-point lead at 55-46 with 7:05 to play here in the Play4Kay Shootout at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Timeout here on the court. You're listening to UNLV Women's Basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network.
Take care of this. The unbeatable clean.
Arena in Las Vegas. Adam Candy and Wyatt Tomczyk. 7:05 to play. UNLV with a 9-point lead over the 15th ranked team in the country, Oregon State. At the 3:44 mark of the second quarter, Oregon State led UNLV 35-25. Since that time, the Lady Rebels have outscored Oregon State by a 30-11 margin, including an onslaught here at the beginning of the fourth quarter, Wyatt.
Oh, it's unbelievable shooting. I mean, Paris Strawler, big threes, and Dakota Gonzalez is feeling it right now. She is just intercepting everything on defense, offense. She is becoming a thorn for Oregon State right now. Great play by the Rebels.
Oregon State has turned the ball over 4 times in the first 3 minutes of this quarter. 19 turnovers for an Oregon State team that does not turn the ball over with any regularity. A 1.5 to assist to turnover ratio as Brooke Johnson knocked away the inbound pass in the front court. Oregon State will have to go into the back court to bring it in now.
Yeah, they just averaged 12.4 turnovers a game. They have 18 right now. Pretty bad.
Orem receives the pass at midcourt. Big forward doesn't really know what she wants to do with the basketball, though. Stops in the right corner, guarded by Jordan Bell. Hands off for Sydney Weiss. Can the senior standout Weiss lead her team back in? She took her team to the Final Four last year, where they lost to UConn in the national semifinals. A 32-win season for Oregon State, which was picked to finish 5th in the Pac-12 this year. Weiss off a screen by Brown. Open for 3, and she knocks it down. Weiss now with 20. 3 or 4 from outside, and UNLV cannot let that be the shot that turns around the momentum. 55-49 UNLV, 6.5 to go. Weiss really needs some help from her teammates to get back into this game. Paris Strawler back to the basket at the free throw line. Hands off Brooke Johnson. Brooke lost the basketball coming down the lane, and then a nervous-looking possession for UNLV. Turnover to Oregon State. But how about this? For UNLV, that is just turnover number 7 for a team that averages 19 per game. Weiss starts right, goes left. Dakota Gonzalez stays in front of her. She bounces off to Brown. They open up Tudor for a desperation 3 kind of from the left side as she lost the basketball. I'm not sure why she even took it. Brown down on the floor, falls to the floor, and throws it to the left side for Tudor, and Oregon State resets. Kat Tudor has gotten nothing going from distance today. 1 of 6 from outside for the 4th-ranked three-point shooter in the country. Pass to the left side intended for Tudor by Weiss, but once again it's Dylan Gonzalez with a hand in the passing lane, knocking it out of bounds. UNLV 55, Oregon State 49, 5:50 to play. Lady Rebels have played lockdown defense here in the second half. Weiss working against Dakota Gonzalez. Gets a screen, launches a 3. That one's off the left side of the tin. Rebound by Brown, no good, and a late foul call by Tim Resch will send Brown to the line as the personal goes against Jordan Bell. That's number 2 against Jordan. 3rd team foul against UNLV, and that's a number to watch because you don't want Oregon State to be able to get to the line and get into the game that way. Beavers have not committed a foul in the 4th quarter as Brown goes back to the stripe where she's 4 of 6 thus far today. The redshirt junior from Oakland swishes number 1 to bring her team back within 5. UNLV's lead has been as large as 9 here in the 4th after trailing by 8 at halftime. Brown lines up number 2, misses it. Should have been called for a lane violation for getting in early. Doesn't matter as Dylan Gonzalez comes down with the board for the Lady Rebels. Open for 3, and I mean wide open for 3 in the left quarter is Dakota Gonzalez. No good. Rebounded by Kat Tudor, who gets it off to Weiss. Missed opportunity there for UNLV. Weiss crosses over Dakota Gonzalez. Step back on the right side from 17, no good. Great box out by Jordan Bell against Orem. She gets the rebound. Jordan Bell has been outstanding here in the second half for UNLV. 55-50 Lady Rebels lead. Remember, Nikki Wheatley carried off with a right knee injury in the 3rd quarter. UNLV trying to get this done without its starting point guard, who was their leading scorer at halftime. Johnson waits for Dakota to come off a Bell screen. Open for 3 from the top, no good. Lady Rebels really would be well served to start going to the hole now instead of launching only 3s. Rebound to Oregon State, coming from right to left on your radio dial internet cursor. And for those of you watching the video stream, you knew that already. Weiss to the free throw line. Orem pulls the ball high over her head. Drives down against Jordan Bell. Jordan stayed right in front of her and diving to try to save the ball with Brooke Johnson. I think Brooke should have just let that one go. It would have been off Oregon State out of bounds, but it will be a turnover. Right back to Oregon State. Would have been UNLV's basketball. 4:30.
UNLV Lady Rebels played
A ranked team. It was 2012. They lost to Dayton. The last time they beat a ranked team was 2007. They played George Washington. 55-50 is the UNLV lead over the number 15 team in the country, Oregon State, with 4:33 remaining here in the Play4Kay Shootout at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Winner plays at 8 o'clock tomorrow night against Quinnipiac. Loser plays at 3 o'clock against New Mexico State. UNLV has turned up the defense in the second half. Oregon State shot 61% before the break. They are now shooting just 23 here in the second half. Oregon State with the basketball in its front court. Bouncing on the left side, Orem. Oh, she must have traveled. No call made. Rebound tipped off the hands of Jordan Bell out of bounds. And officials, I believe, are going to rule that shot did not hit the rim. 6 seconds on the shot clock. It will be Hansen waiting to bring it in. Senior from Anaheim, California, really has not gotten much going today for Oregon State. Now Tim Resch is going to come in and remind these stacked up players along the left side of the lane that they have to leave a little bit of room for each other. Mention Hansen, just 2 points on the day. She averages 7 on the season. Honorable mention, all defense in Pac-12 last year. Lob in for Gulich, picks it up in the lane, shot right up over Dylan Gonzalez. Good, beautiful design on that out-of-bounds play by Scott Ruick. And Oregon State has cut that 9-point deficit down to just 3. Last 6 points of the game scored by the Beavers. 55-52 UNLV with 4:13 to play. Man-to-man defense by Oregon State. Right wing quarter court, Dylan Gonzalez. Starts the drive now. Down the lane. Across for Paris Strother. She's fouled. That layup goes on the left side. It's a 3-point play opportunity for UNLV. And Paris Strother has come on strong here after the break for the Lady Rebels.
That's a no. Yes, it went in. I didn't think Paris Strother was going to handle that hot of a pass. But boy, what a big break there for the Rebels.
The foul goes against Hansen. It's her 4th, and she'll sit down. Tudor back onto the floor. The layup makes it 57-52. The real no for me was the drive down the lane by Dylan Gonzalez, but as soon as that double team came, as Strother misses the free throw, rebound by Gulich. As soon as the double team came, Dylan made that heady play right across the lane for Paris. 5-point lead for UNLV, under 4 to play. Gulich, 12.6 rebounds, but has committed 8 turnovers. Gets it over to Weiss on the right side, and Sydney Weiss is not going down without a fight. 23 points for the honorable mention All-American, and Oregon State trails 57-55 with 3:37 to go. Johnson on the right side, has to run the point with Wheatley out injured. Left-hand dribble into the lane, puts it up over Gulich. Left-hand shot no good, and she is fouled, says Cameron Inoue. Charge the personal to Marie Gulich, her 3rd. Sends UNLV's best free throw shooter, Brooke Johnson, to the line. Frustrating day for Brooke offensively, just 1 of 7, but she is 2 of 2 from the line. 5 points for Brooke. And that one bangs into the hole. 58-55, 3:30 to play. Brooke averaging 12 points, 5 rebounds a game, second in the Mountain West at steals, at more than 2 per game after leading the conference last year. Second one is up and in. UNLV has not been great overall from the line today, just 9 of 15. But Brooke Johnson gets it done when it counts. 59-55 lead for UNLV. Orem posts up big at the left elbow against Jordan Bell. Flashing into the lane, Weiss can't get the basketball. Comes up to the top. She thought she had it, but Dakota Gonzalez got it away, came all the way down the floor, and she blew the layup. Sydney Weiss put just enough hustle and defensive effort in there to keep Dakota from getting it. Pivot into the lane, she's in trouble. Brooke Johnson stole it away. She's on top of it on the floor, and a held ball is called. Kathy Olivier was 5 steps on the floor calling to try to get a timeout, but UNLV has the possession arrow in its favor. What a play by Brooke Johnson to get in there and steal the ball from Pivot, who got herself into the trees and didn't really know what to do with herself. 3 minutes to go. UNLV with the ball, leading 59-55 over 15th ranked Oregon State.
Well, that play, hopefully that doesn't come back to hurt the Rebels. Dakota Gonzalez was wide open for the layup. I don't know how much effect Weiss had on it, but maybe a little bit. I thought Dakota was probably thinking she was going to get fouled. Maybe that altered the shot.
I'll tell you what, I think what happened, Dakota thought she was all by herself, and Sydney Weiss put the LeBron James chase block effort in there to come all the way down and just get a hand in there and make Dakota think about it. But it's a net zero in the end because Brooke Johnson got the steal at the other end. 59-55, under 3 to play. UNLV with the lead. Dakota Gonzalez has been the overall standout for UNLV today. Hesitation dribble and a carry called by Cheryl Flores. Pivot was about to get called for a hand check, but Dakota turned the basketball over and committed the giveaway for UNLV. 2:40 to play. UNLV looking to go to 9-1 on the year to beat its 3rd Power Conference team of the season. Hansen by Johnson in the lane. To the left side, Pivot outside the arc. Picked up by Dylan Gonzalez. Now she's dead to the dribble. Turns around and finds Weiss. Thought about that NBA 3. Instead flexes her arm to call the play. Wants a screen from Brown. Comes around that screen. Good hedge by Strother to keep her from coming free. 3 to shoot. Pivot's going to have to launch one from the left side. Barely beats the shot clock. Bounces 3 times, won't go. That has to be a rebound foul against Brown. The officials completely missed it. Oh, rebound by Oregon State. She was leaning on top of Paris Strother like some furniture. 2 minutes to play. UNLV up by 4. Another possession for Oregon State. And a timeout called by Scott Ruick. Oh, that is a terribly blown call by the officials. And I'm looking down the other end of the media table here. And who's sitting there? June Courteau, the national coordinator of officials, the highest-ranking women's basketball official in the country, watching this happen down at the other end of the table. So might be a little demerit on the report for those officials at the end of that play. Scott Ruick wants a timeout with his team trailing by 4 with 1:56 to go.
A little finger wag, you know, hey, that wasn't, nope, bad call.
You will definitely see that play on your video again if the officials have a conversation with June after the game. Some luminaries in attendance here today. ESPN's women's basketball analyst Charlie Cream is here. Coming over from the T&M, we've seen Tina Kunzer-Murphy, the UNLV athletics director. Senior Associate Athletic Director Daryl Seibel in the house as well. UNLV looking for what would be, in my opinion, its biggest regular season win in at least the last 5 years. Could be the 750th win in program history. Weiss against Dakota Gonzalez, looking for room, can't find one. How did she make it go? Oh my goodness, falling out of bounds on the left side. Put some spin on it to scoop it up. It went over the rim and in. Oh my goodness, 59-57, as Weiss now has 25 of Oregon State's 57. Brooke Johnson down the lane. What a look for Strother, and a great rejection by Brown coming from behind. A left to right pass by Brooke Johnson. A fantastic rejection by Oregon State. Hansen starts down the lane left side with a chance to tie and backs it out. Weiss takes the handoff left side outside the arc from Gulich, working against Dakota Gonzalez. Sydney Weiss now right next to her bench, holds the ball high, waits for a screen from Brown. Dylan Gonzalez jumped her. Dylan's going to beat her down the floor for the layup. Oh, she blew the open layup. The other way, here comes Pivot. 53 seconds to go. Gulich in the lane for Brown, blocked by Strother, but a foul called by Tim Resch. Oregon State will go to the line with a chance to knot this game. It's Brown who has made a living there today. 5 of 8 from the stripe, 9 points for Brianna Brown, the redshirt junior from Oakland. Just a 46% free throw shooter on the year, though. 46.8 on the clock, UNLV 59, 15th ranked Oregon State 57. The upset is in the works. Can UNLV close it down? Brown hits the first to bring this within 1. Lady Rebels, both Gonzalez twins have had wide open layups coming down to the other end of the floor. Dylan's was even more open than Dakota, and here's Dylan looking up to the sky, both her fists clenched, so frustrated with herself. Got to leave it behind now, though. Brown's second is good. 59 all. Brooke Johnson immediately fouled by Oregon State. Not sure if Scott Rook wanted a sub, but he will get it here. That was just the 3rd foul against Oregon State with 45.7 in the quarter. Hansen back onto the floor replacing Tudor. Wouldn't be surprised if that foul was solely for the purpose of keeping UNLV from getting out in transition, allowing Oregon State to set up the defense and get the substitution in. Tied at 59. UNLV led this game 55-46. 3 minutes into the 4th period. Oregon State, like the poised team that it is going to the Final Four last year, has recovered. Brooke Johnson runs the point with Nikki Wheatley out injured. 35 seconds to go. Johnson behind a Strother screen for 3, no good. Rebound tipped around, brought in by Brown. Brown out to Hansen. There is no difference between the game clock and shot clock now with 24 seconds to go. And a foul called. Oh my goodness, Dylan Gonzalez fouled Hansen out at the 28-foot mark. And that's going to send Hansen to the line with 24 seconds to go. Oh my goodness, that is just the worst foul you can imagine committing by UNLV. I understand that Hansen is not a particularly good free throw shooter at 44%, but if it was strategy, we'll see. We'll ask Kathy Olivia about it in the postgame. The first one's up and in, and Oregon State leads 60-59 with 24 seconds to play. I wonder if it was strategy. I'd be surprised if it was strategy. Hansen's second, in and out. Gulich goes right over the top of Bell to bring in the rebound, but she stepped out of bounds. A huge break for UNLV. Oregon State 60, UNLV 59, 22.8 seconds remaining, and a timeout called by Kathy Olivier, a 30-second timeout, and she's going to use that opportunity to advance the ball into the front court. Remember, under 59.9 seconds left, off that rebound or ball out of bounds, team can call a timeout and use that timeout to advance the ball into the front court, NBA style. That will save the Lady Rebels 3 or 4 seconds coming into the front court. UNLV has watched this lead evaporate here down the stretch. 60-59 Oregon State with the advantage. Lady Rebels led early by 7. Oregon State turned it on in the second quarter, shooting 61% in the first half overall. 20 points in the second quarter to lead by 8 at the break. But UNLV did not say die. They played the defense they needed to play in the third quarter, and some hot shooting at the beginning of the fourth brought the lead up to 9 points for the Lady Rebels. They have not beaten a ranked team in 9 years. Dylan Gonzalez will bring the ball in from right next to Kathy Olivier on the UNLV sideline. That's the left side of the offense. Box formation for UNLV around the lane. Brooke Johnson takes the ball. Paris Strother has it now. Hands off for Dakota Gonzalez with 18 seconds to go. Dakota to the right side, now to the baseline. Pass across is intercepted. It was trying to go to Brooke Johnson in the left corner. Pivot picked it off for Oregon State, and Kathy Olivier waving her arm in frustration as UNLV has to give up the foul. Jordan Bell gives it up. Pivot is a 70% free throw shooter. The highest rated recruit in the history of Oregon State. Top 25 recruit. The freshman to the line in her biggest situation in 9 games at Oregon State. First one up and in. UNLV will have a chance regardless with 13.6 to go. 61-59 Oregon State lead. Oregon State will drop 2 defenders into the backcourt. One of them has to pick up Dakota Gonzalez, who's standing over in front of the UNLV bench. Deep at the knees, pivot hits the second. Is Kathy Olivier going to use the timeout? No, she won't. She's going to play this one straight. 10 seconds to go. UNLV trails by 3. Brooke Johnson with the ball. UNLV needs a triple. 6 seconds to go. Johnson at 28 straight away. And now Kathy Olivier calls a timeout, and Brooke Johnson just fired up a 3 and missed it short. So in the game of hindsight, we'll say a good call by Kathy Olivier taking the timeout with 4.3 seconds left on the clock. The last time UNLV was in a situation like this was 2 years ago at Fresno State. Kathy Olivier had the ball out of bounds on the end line. She had Danielle Miller, one of the best players in the Mountain West. She ran an out of bounds play for Danielle Miller where she came up through an elevator screen at the free throw line, got open for 3, and hit the shot at the buzzer to send the game to overtime, where UNLV ultimately won. Lady Rebels at that point were knocking off the Mountain West leader, Fresno State. At this point, they have a chance to beat the 15th ranked team in the country, Oregon State. No matter what happens over the last 4.3 seconds, and hopefully another 5 minutes, UNLV has proven that it belongs in that discussion of contenders. No doubt about it. But how about more than a moral W? Dylan Gonzalez to bring it in on the left side. Brooke Johnson takes the basketball. 2 dribbles and a pull-up for 3 off the left side of the rim, and this one is over. An absolute heartbreaker for UNLV. Oregon State 62, UNLV 59. We'll be joined by Kathy Olivier in just a moment. You're listening to UNLV Women's Basketball on the Rebel IMG Sports Network.